Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 2. No, it's
214.
214. Just mixing up the numbers. Here we are on the 11th of August, 2021. Welcome to the show. Thanks very much for joining us today. With us, as always, Mr. Casey Green joins us from the DC area.
How's it going?
How hot and sticky is it, Casey?
Well, it was pretty hot until the thunderstorm started, so now I'm just waiting for the air conditioner to catch back up.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. We're living through a thunderstorm right at this moment, so I'm just hoping that the power stays on.
But I've got the iPad on standby just in case.
Okay, all right. So out there, who knows what could happen? This may be a real short episode. We don't know. We'll have to see.
We have no idea.
Very good. Well, thanks for joining us. We got a ton of Tesla news, as always. And let's get right into it. Casey's got our first story. What's happening at Car and Driver?
So Car and Driver, they were practicing some, reporting. And they took what happened with Consumer Reports and Tesla Autopilot in their instructions on how to defeat it. And they decided they would bring 17 other vehicles and run 4 tests to see which ones would pass. And they had 17 failures, including the Tesla. So it's not that if you put a dedicated person who's trying to defeat the safety devices behind the wheel that the other cars are somehow safer. If somebody wants to do something bad enough, the machine's not going to stop. My favorite was one of the ones they were able to bypass with a pair of googly eyes.
So they had someone asleep, but they had like googly eyes over their eyes?
They didn't even have anybody in the chair. It was just a pair of googly eyes hanging from the seatbelt.
On the back of the seat, okay.
On the seatbelt.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, they have a quick little video on it. I made it partway through.
Those teddy bear eyes are on the road. No, they're not. They're not even real. Yeah, well, that's not a big surprise, is it? That if someone wants to defeat this stuff, all they have to do is trial and error, and they can do it. Like there's no real way to stop it. Even with the basic stuff, it can be beaten, and the stuff that's a little bit more tricky, all that does is it takes more trial and error. And people that say, "Well, why doesn't so and so put a weight sensor in the seat?" And if nobody's because
potatoes,
there's nothing stopping them from putting a sack of potatoes in the seat. And from this other one with a couple of googly eyes at the top. But it's a mess. It really is. It's
about a heat sensor, baked potato.
You can't have it completely open, obviously.
No.
But covering the basic stuff so that at least a person has to try to circumnavigate the rules is what everyone should do. I don't know if we can, we can't really build a better mousetrap to stop the idiots, because the idiots always come up with a new way to beat that. So there's the googly eyes.
Weights on the steering wheel. I don't know. Oh, I guess this is their emergency brake in case they actually were a little bit safer at it, even though they're on their own closed track. Theirs was still even safer than our friends at Consumer Reports.
I love the zip-tied brake pedal thing.
They strapped it on there. We're going to stop this car if it needs to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And then there's the video I was telling you about. I recommend to give that a watch. This is just an animation proving that it works.
You can't stop them. Like, if someone wants to defeat it, they can defeat it. There's no question about it.
Yeah. And then here's their wow. That's a serious failure. Driver's seat unbuckled, no effect. Cancels lane centering. No effect. Oh well. What? That's actually worse, because theirs is you don't even have to hold the wheel with the Super Cruise. So unbuckling the seatbelt and it not doing anything is extremely bad. Oh man.
Messy.
Yes. So first in the chat this evening was Hockey Day, and good evening, Anders.
Anders joins us from Stockholm. Hockey Day from Sarnia. Welcome all.
Yes.
Well, on to our next story, and this one's about Model S and Model X price increase, $5,000.
Again.
Now, you may be thinking, hey, didn't you guys just say that, a week ago or so?
Last 3 weeks?
Yeah, we did, because this is the second round of $5,000 price increases for the S and the X. Yes. So that's $10,000 for those of you out there that are not counting. It's with the not just the S and the X, not this week, but previous weeks, of course, the Y and the 3 have seen some price increases as well. Not $5,000 at a pop, but still significant price increases are going across the board. I'd be curious to know if other car manufacturers are hitting their price like this as well. Because you got to believe that some of this is supply and demand based on the shortages that suppliers are having out there with certain parts, chips, and other key components of putting these cars together. But is this inflation? Is this supplier problems? What is this causing the price, or is it just that Tesla's selling out regardless?
I think a little bit of both. I suspect that if you go to a traditional dealership, you won't find any manufacturer incentives, or if you do, they'll be like tokens rather than significant like they were before. And then you're also seeing not just the what's going on in the used car market. You're also seeing a lot of dealerships doing their market adjustment garbage. Here's $5,000 just because we said so.
Yeah, exactly.
or 10, and then maybe they get called out by Ford. Maybe.
So it's something that I don't know. It starts to get concerning though. If you were hanging on, wanting to buy a car,
keep hanging on.
And like it becomes a question of, should you wait? Does this wave start to go away at some point? Mm-hmm. We really don't know. Don't know.
What we're seeing in the PC parts land is it's finally becoming easier to get a hold of the components that have been harder to reach before, and at a minimal markup. They're still not quite at the list price. So if you don't need new computer components yet, I would also hold off on that until they finish getting back to normal.
Yeah.
And hopefully the cars do the same thing.
Yeah, hopefully. Kind of concerning watching the price climb like that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting strategy because on the 3 and the Y, they kind of did slow little bumps repeatedly.
$500 bumps, right?
500 to 1,000 to 1,500, just pop, 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 pop. And then on the S and X, they said, boom.
Can't hold back. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've got folks getting emails saying that they're not going to get their Model S Plaid until they were looking at January, and now it's February at the earliest. And there are other people who are, their cars are arriving in the store or delivery center lots, and they're going to get theirs before the supply completely dries up. And in other areas, like in some parts of China and other markets, we're seeing actual price decreases on some units, some models and trims. So it appears that Tesla is trying to balance out the fact that they have sold out whole production quantities,
whole quarters.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I bought a car today. You'll see it in June of next year.
Yeah, you'll see it this time next year.
Yes.
So, got to order the car a year in advance. Oh my goodness. Well, with that, there's an update that hit the Tesla website. This was, of course, the Supercharger quarterly update, and it wasn't quite quarterly. It was more like 4 months. Yeah. But it is interesting for those of you out there that are looking to see if Tesla's filling in a supercharger hole close to you or an area that you like to travel. So you can go to the Tesla.com website. You can click on charging and then select charging on the road. It brings you to, of course, that map of either the US, Europe, or Asia. You click on one of those maps, and then you have the ability to go into detail. And it will allow you to search for specifics, as well as you can delete things. Like you could delete, I don't want to see service stations. I don't want to see destination chargers. You can remove things. And then it also shows you in gray proposed superchargers for the areas that they're supposed to be showing up in. And if you hover over those icons, it also lets you know what quarter they expect those, what year, what quarter they expect those chargers to come online. So it's an interesting little tool that you can use right from the Tesla website to find out what's happening around you or in areas that you're concerned about. So I've definitely taken a look at that map a few times. This article that we received from Drive Tesla Canada, it has a listing of all the Canadian sites as well as the US sites, but there just seems to be more detail on the Canadian side of things.
I wonder why.
This particular article.
This on the screen, for those of you not on the audio edition, is a third-party site, supercharge.info, showing what they know of, what's under construction, what's in service, what's in permits around the world.
Exactly. Always a great resource for sure.
Yes.
And yeah, so check that out. And that rolls us into the next story, which is a little bit out of this world. What's going on, Casey?
A little bit out of this world.
About to be out of this world, I guess.
Least, yes, it will be soon. Currently sitting on the coast of Texas. So our friend Tim Dodd at the Everyday Astronaut on YouTube and elsewhere, he had a chance to do a 3-part interview with Elon. And I say 3-part, he produced it in 3 parts, but it was really a, what was it, 2.5 hour?
Yeah.
Just exactly. Walk along with Elon. And we learned all sorts of awesome details about Starship that we might not have gathered as quickly. They kind of said the heck with ITAR, and then we got to see the engines up close. We got to see the some of the equipment that's going to be on the quick disconnect for the Starship itself on the launch tower. An employee drove Elon and crew out to the launch pad while it was under construction before the stacking event, and it was pretty cool to see. So if you happen to have, a pair of hours and a half hour, yeah, to watch this.
This picture that we're sharing here. This, of course, is one of the grid fins for the booster rocket for Starship.
Absolutely.
And it's like the size. It's bigger than a car. Like it's a massive piece of machinery. It's
like the size of the crane.
They're just holding on to. I forget how heavy it is, but it's ridiculously heavy. But these are the fins that sit on the Falcon 9 that currently are folded down when the rocket takes off, and then they pop up as the rocket comes back for recovery. In the case of Starship, the fin apparently is not going to be folded out at all or folded in at all. So when it takes off, it is going to be in the out position. So that's kind of different. To see that would be, I guess, aerodynamically useful. I'm not sure how that happens, but that apparently is one of the things that is going to be the case when it comes to the new larger rocket.
Yeah. And that was one of the things we saw on the stream. Elon pointed it out to Tim. Tim's like, all right, so these ones won't fold. And Elon said, none of them will fold. Exactly. We just rotate them.
Yeah. So very cool. It's kind of long, so you may want to take it in some chunks.
Yeah.
But an hour at a setting or half an hour at a setting, it's well worth. It's very interesting watching what's happening at Spaceport. A lot of stuff going on. Talks about a second launch pad. They talk about some information as to the actual launch table was being installed the next day.
You get to see him have you get to see him have an actual conference with his engineers in the field. They talked about hiring. They didn't hold anything back. I was like, just Elon said in one of the videos, he said something to the effect of, "Everybody has dirty laundry. We're just doing ours in public."
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Absolutely.
Next, we're going to skip over to the White House.
Let's go to the White House.
So at the White House last week, there was an EV event that happened. And all the big EV companies were there.
All you say?
Except for one. Maybe, of course, the biggest EV company was not there. We had Ford, we had GM, we had the old Chrysler, or Stellantis, I guess it's now called.
Stellantis.
They were all
the Europeans.
But Tesla, with sales of 54% of all EVs in the United States are Teslas, they weren't invited. And I guess the press secretary kind of danced around when that question came up. Where was Tesla? Were they invited? Elon, of course, had replied on Twitter already to a few other people that had known that issue very quickly. And he had responded that, no, we didn't even get an invite. And of course, we know what the problem is. The White House didn't come out and say it technically, but the problem is that Tesla is not a union shop. And that is what the Biden administration has hung their hat on.
It gets worse than that. Jobs. It gets worse than that. There are a whole bunch of foreign non-union shops that were allowed to put out a one-pager in the question and answer section. You know, it was never called on and no light was brought to it. But guess who wasn't on that? Because they're not foreign.
Yeah.
But you had Japan, all the Japanese makers. You had Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi. You had Volkswagen and the others. They were able to put in their little one-liners and they didn't want to mention the union at all. And then somebody pointed out that Ford and the other big three, they had a one-liner thanking the unions at the end of their speech, where they didn't mention them at all, except for on their way out the door. Hey, thanks for the unions. And so this was just so awkward.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I understand the optics. I understand that when you're in charge, you're trying not to step on anybody and please everyone all at the same time. And I can understand, I can appreciate how that's difficult to do. But why wouldn't they just, have a different event? Why wouldn't they, try to be inclusive of everyone in the one event, or have a couple events over a couple of weeks? I just think that they're really missing the ball here without trumpeting what Tesla has brought to the market. The fact that all those other groups wouldn't even be involved in EVs to the scope that they are today without Tesla's involvement. I really, and so many people not even realizing that Tesla exists still. Yeah. I think they've really done Tesla a disservice. I know it's not going to hurt them to any real effect. But it would have been nice to give Tesla some free publicity as an American-made company that's employing Americans at the White House. I just think that they should have found a way to include Tesla in the event or in a separate event. I just think that the Biden administration has missed the boat on this one clearly.
Yeah, we'll see if they right that situation by the time next year rolls around and everybody's got their stuff coming out.
Yeah, so it's kind of sad, but that's some of the news that happened this week as well. So unfortunately, we'll have to see if they can make a correction on this, or do something else to right the ship. But I think it was a big opportunity missed by the Biden administration there. Next, on to the Model Y landing in Europe. And you may ask, Mark, how is it possible that the Model Y has arrived in Europe? Is Giga Berlin finished? Have you won the bet against Patrick? No, I wish I could say otherwise, but no, I have not. Giga Berlin, you're correct, is not operational yet. Still waiting for final approvals. They're raring to go apparently, but they don't have the final approvals at this point. And it's forecast that we're probably looking at the end of the year before they're making any cars, is what they think at this point. But instead of having Europe not get some Model Ys, why they could, it looks like Tesla has begun shipping from other sites, mainly China, shipping Model Ys completed, or Fremont. I'm not sure exactly if they're coming from both or one or the other. I believe from what I've seen, it is China that's shipping the Model Y to Europe. So a few Europeans are starting to get their hands on the Model Y, but it's not going to be a drastic amount. It's certainly not going to fill all the orders that are out there or will be out there for the Model Y once it starts to arrive in volume. But it is good to see that, Tesla does have this, now it has this ability that they can create and ship cars from a few different factories, whereas before they were stuck just to Fremont. And as we bring on Giga Texas and as Berlin comes online, that ability is only going to be able to increase. So they'll be able to shift resources, shift output, and help get vehicles to areas that they want to be purchased in quickly. So this is an example, a small example at this point, but it is a big plus for Tesla being able to pivot like this and start to supply vehicles from different factories that typically in the past with only one plant they were unable to do.
Yeah, Derek brings up a good point. There was an interview in the plant. That was cool. I also didn't understand anything that was going on there.
And apparently Elon has flown into Berlin today or this afternoon, and he is supposed to be there as the German Chancellor is visiting the site.
Oh,
so
cool.
It'll be interesting to see if there's some snippets on the news that happen either late today or tomorrow.
There was also a little tidbit that came out that the number of complaints protesters or whatever we want to call these astroturfers, they've gone down significantly. So there were 300 of one type of complaint that's down now to 99, and there were 100 or so of another type of complaint that's now down to the 20s.
Casey, shh, don't say stuff like that. That'll just get them all riled up to start spitting complaints again. You let sleeping dogs lie. That's what you do.
Yeah, Elon liked the tweet. That's how I found it.
Oh, man. Well, speaking of another story, Casey's got, let's head off to another area. And this one's underground.
Go underground. So the Boring Company is putting out some more unsolicited bids. This time they've gone to San Antonio and Austin. So if those are accepted, then they'll be put out for, depending on the bidding process for each of those cities, but they'll probably be put out for competitive bids. And then we might start to see these boring networks just pop up all over the world. And that's exciting.
Yeah, apparently the Austin bid had something from downtown towards the airport and, of course, to the Tesla
Texas.
Campus. Yeah, yes, exactly. So that is something interesting. That is there that much crazy traffic in Austin? Well, everywhere there's crazy traffic, but it's interesting to see that they're proposing something to downtown Austin and airport. And of course, San Antonio is similar, that an airport or close to an airport stop is involved as well.
Yeah.
San Bernardino, was it San Bernardino, California?
That sounds right.
Or was it the Ontario airport in California? Yeah. There was a, I guess, proposal that's been sitting in limbo for a while. We've heard a few times about that. In fact, that's where the leak about the 12-seater car that could hold all the luggage came from, was the Ontario airport bid. but haven't heard anything more of that. And of course, the Fort Lauderdale one, they're in the middle of that 45-day, I guess, waiting to get another bid. I don't think one's coming, but we'll have to see at the end of the 45 days if some more information comes up about that. The Los Alamos Street or Boulevard Loop, it's called. So basically downtown Fort Lauderdale to the beach. So 2 tunnels. So very interesting.
That would be really cool if they would do that, Derek.
There was talk. Remember a while ago there was talk about putting a link underground for the seat factory directly into Fremont.
Yeah, they did.
So, is that done? Like, is that actually? But it wasn't the Boring Company did it. Was it?
No,
I didn't think.
Or at least not officially.
Yeah. They just had people in there with shovels and buckets.
Probably however other companies do it. I mean, it was just across the street. Quietly. I doubt it was quiet.
At night. It's like a bank-based movie.
Oh, the Vegas loop continues.
That's right. Another story we're going to update tonight is about India. Remember last week we talked about how India's import duties on vehicles were extremely high. If you get over a $40,000 US equivalent vehicle in India, the import tax on that vehicle is 100%. So you're basically doubling the price of the car. If it's below that $40,000 plateau, it's a 50% increase in price for that import duty. So Tesla had, of course, said to India in its own way that, hey, listen, we just can't do those type of import fees. If you want us to consider building a car in your country, we need to see what the kind of, I guess, the demand for the vehicles are, and we can't sell a car that's double its value. It's just going to cut our market too greatly. So India at that point had said, you know what, we need to protect our internal auto companies. We're not going to budge on this. But this week's report from Tasmanian indicates that they're looking at this now, that they're considering a move on those tax credits on imported, possibly EVs only. There's a number of different ways they can go with this. And another bit of information is that Volkswagen has come in to the aid, adding their voice to Tesla, saying, listen, you're really cutting yourself out of the market for other companies to build factories in your country with this type of import tax attached. So why don't you lower it or look at it at least? So VW is adding their voice to it, hoping that India will start to take a look at what they've been doing with this import tax.
It's good to see them come back to the table because according to the most recent climate report that was released this week, India stands to have a lot of damage. If they're, yes, you want to have, economic stability, but you also want to have a place to actually put these factories, no matter who's working in them. So, that's the whole point of a compromise, is not everybody gets everything they want. So we can see this be a start. And then once they see that this works out well, then the local companies and Tesla and VW can then do whatever they need to do to go further towards the goals of the Indians. Or the Indian people, I should say.
Yeah. So, I understand the protectionism, trying to protect your internal auto manufacturing. And then, of course, the other thing is that people are saying is that, well, if Tesla was to build a factory in India, then those import duties would not apply.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, with this
it's you've got to invest like $5 billion to build a factory that's going to be self-sufficient. It's also, of course, going to benefit India in the fact that it's pulling from suppliers locally, like they did in China, like they're going to do in Berlin. So there's a number of spin-offs that the country gets if a company invests that type of dollars in India.
But I mean, you have to have some sort of assurance that when you put that $5 billion down on the table, that you're not lighting it on fire. And India also has to realize that they're dealing with some of these CEOs are really petty people, and I could see them totally just setting up a factory right across the border in Pakistan or China or wherever, just because they lost the argument. So, kid gloves.
Yeah, exactly. Kid gloves. And Derek's comment there about visiting Fremont, employee parking was packed. When I was there doing the factory tour, there wasn't an available parking spot. I had to drive around for 20 minutes looking for a spot to park just to take the factory tour. So yeah, I would agree. The parking lot is packed. We even had those stories from remember the days with What Drives Us about the Tesla parking lot where people would be parking on bullards and everything else just to find a spot. That's always been the case, apparently, Derek. They've always been packed in there like sardines.
I remember in 14 or 15 where they where that report came out about them writing the tickets in the lot, and they had the dollies that you put under the wheel and you pump it with your foot and you could lift the car and then push it out of the way.
Yeah, so they're just shuffling them around, throwing them on tow trucks. Like it was crazy town there for parking. Always has been. So kind of strange.
Hopefully they have enough at the ground up factories, all the Gigas and Terra.
Yeah. Of course, the Berlin people are going to complain that the parking lot's too big.
Parking lot's too big. There aren't enough buses. There are too many buses.
From the cardboard forest and the friendly anthills that are suffering. So
the bus depot uses too much water.
Yeah, exactly. Also, if you're watching this for the first time and haven't already, please give us a thumbs up at this point. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? It's not going to get any cheaper. So go ahead, subscribe now. That helps us out, helps us get in front of more eyeballs, and we would really appreciate that. So thank you very much for doing so. Next story. We've got a little bit of something about what? A Mad Max mobile? What's this about, Casey?
Yes. So our friend Rich Benoit, you know him as Uncle Rich. Uncle Rich Rebuilds. He got together with forget their name.
Stephen plumber.
Stephen was talking about how they were bad plumbers, and they're like, we're not plumbers. And you got a photo for this one?
I can grab a photo, absolutely.
And they got together and found themselves a totaled Model 3 all-wheel drive. And then they went ahead and wanted to make something that they could go off-roading with. And it does look a little bit like Mad Max, but it's kind of how I would expect Mad Max would actually be, with electric cars, solar cells, all that sort of thing. And they put in a couple of modifications. They lifted the vehicle. They put offsets on the wheels. They made the hood look a little more rugged, and then painted it so it wasn't brown. Tesla wouldn't sell them any headlights because Rich was asking for it, and so they got their own. I don't know what the deal is with the gas cans on the electric car. They weren't featured in either video.
I didn't notice that till now. That is crazy.
Yeah. And
what is up with that? Like, who would think that?
I mean, it would make sense if
that's got to be an inside joke from.
It's got to be.
Rich Rebuilds.
It's got to be, because they would make sense if they were like if they had like the EcoFlow batteries on there or something. But I don't know what they were going for with those gas cans.
What I thought was wild was when they cut the exterior of the hood to reveal that honeycomb look.
Yeah,
that's just the inside of the hood, right? And all they did was they spray painted it black to get rid of the brown color that it comes in. I guess that's just the anti-rust coating.
Exactly.
But they just cut it out for looks. Took a grinder to the hood and cut out that U shape, and man, that was like I felt sad when I saw him bring out the cut out the hood. But you'll also notice that at the front, all the radiator stuff has been moved.
Yep.
and it's
up
been
under that
put
honeycomb.
underneath that honeycomb. So I guess it's
airflow,
serving the purpose of airflow. Exactly.
Yeah. It also made sure that the radiators were out of the danger zone when it came to off-roading. Up front, you see they've installed a hitch, and when they took it off-road, it did manage to get itself stuck and unstuck. And one of them had alluded that they used it to unstick the Sherp. If you don't know, Richard Builds has a Sherp that they've taken it down to the aluminum and then polished that up so it looks very rugged and more like a cyber tank rather than like a military vehicle, because as we know, he has an issue with getting pulled over by the police.
Well, it is in the video. You can, of course, see that in the notes. There's a link to the Rich Rebuilds video.
Yes.
But in that video, it shows this strange parade of vehicles going out to the off-road. It's like, no wonder they get pulled over. Like it looks like it's Mad Max in Massachusetts. Like it looks crazy with the vehicles that they take out to the off-road track. And they're driving these vehicles on regular streets to get to this place. So it just,
you got a Cybertruck, a Cyberquad, a Sherp. Nobody even knows what a Sherp is.
Like a Sherp is basically 4 tires that almost rub together, and it's on stilts. Like, it's crazy. But I love the entertainment value of this site. Just seeing them build and fabricate something like this was fun to watch.
Yeah. But this is unlike his other build videos. This one doesn't take like 5 episodes. He gets it done in one with his other crew. And then if you watch their channel, it's another angle basically of that same build also in one episode. That's not done, so you'll have to go to the Plumbering Guys and see what they have coming up next. And I am excited to see what they pull off next, because this is one of the arguments that people make about why they can't go electric. Oh, they're so heavy and they don't have 4-wheel drive and they can't crawl, blah, blah. It's like, you don't realize how much torque these things have, do you? It's just all they need is proper tires, and now this one has that. Hockey Day said he can't give you a tip because you haven't told YouTube how to get money.
I'll give you a tip, Hockey Day. I'll send you a PayPal email address.
That works.
Yeah, that'll work.
Cut out the middleman.
Another story we're going to touch upon is local. Well, not really local to me. This is from Sudbury, Ontario.
Closer to you.
Sudbury is northern Ontario, far north, above where I am in Ontario. But we've got a few photos that we can share for this one as well.
Excellent.
Let me just share the screen. There we go. You seeing these, Casey?
I am seeing these.
Very good. That, of course, is the big nickel in the background. That's what Sudbury's famous for, mining of nickel. So they've got a massive nickel in the city to signify, of course, that they're a mining community and have been for a long, long time. But what we've got in the forefront is a couple of Model 3s that have been purchased by the Greater Sudbury Paramedic Group. These are community paramedic vehicles, so these are not used in emergencies where, if you call 911, these will not come out to you. But they bought 4 of these Model 3s to use in their community paramedic fleet. And these vehicles are used for some supervisory roles. They're used for checkups and regular things they're doing with the community. They're used for community outreach. They're used for some, services that the paramedics will deliver, but it's not on an emergency basis. So this doesn't, of course, eliminate ambulances. Nor can it, because of course there's not enough room in these vehicles to house the different pieces of medical equipment that are required in an emergency situation.
Yeah.
But it is good to see that they've retired a number of gas vehicles to replace them with the Teslas. And of course, they're citing the same reasons that we've seen from police departments and others, that these vehicles are on a lot of the time. There's a lot of idling that's involved. And with an electric vehicle, all that expense that just goes poof from a gas vehicle is not used. You've got an electricity that's being used for the fuel. In Canada, that fuel price becomes 1/4 or 1/5 of what it is for a gas vehicle with the taxes that we have on gas here. So it makes a big difference for anyone to go electric. And of course, fleet owners, they only know too well that these vehicles are going to save them money based on how long they idle, how far they go. And of course, fleet owners know exactly down to the penny how much money's been spent on these vehicles to fuel them. So a big plus for the Community Paramedic group of Greater Sudbury.
I'm noticing in the background on the right-hand side of the photo, what are those guys there?
To
the further right, and then go up.
Solar panels. There you go. Yeah. I was looking for guys. That's why I was.
Oh, sorry. Don't quote that out of context. So we keep saying time and again that if you let the bean counters get involved, that electric's going to win anyway, just because they make sense. And this is being proven time and again with fleets now that they have an affordable vehicle in the Model 3 and the Model Y.
Exactly.
And it doesn't hurt that they're fun to drive too.
I think they're underutilizing the frunk. That's just my opinion. But having this one basket just does not seem to be. They could utilize it more.
But it is critical with the cleanliness. that is a sanitizing wipe bottle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if they took stuff out so they could take the photos.
Yeah, it was too cluttered. We had to clean it up. But
that's where they put their lunch.
the city bought 4 of these. So congratulations to the city of Sudbury, Ontario, and we look forward that this can be an example to other communities that have, because obviously almost all communities of a certain size would have the need that Sudbury has, and of course they're kind of leading the way, and hopefully they can publish the results that they get from the savings and be able to share that with other communities so that they can make the transition a lot easier.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll be able to do something like a drop-in, like a camper, and do it for an ambulance on the Cybertruck.
Yeah. I think that Tesla has so much on their plate.
Yeah, so I was thinking like an upfitter instead of, because they can't really cut into the skin without having to add all sorts of extra reinforcements. But if they did a drop-in, and instead of it being like an RV, instead it was an ambulance or a firefighter command vehicle or the FBI van or whatever, I think that they would see the savings of that particular upfit as well. Plus, it's already got 40 amp power right there. It's at 240 volts.
If Tesla could just get by, and they will in time, but once they get by this battery constraint issue that they've been experiencing for a couple of years now, a year and a half, it's been worse. But once they get by that, if they could design a Sprinter van,
that would be sharp.
That would service so many industries and so many fleets. It would be ridiculous. Everyone's always talked about the Ford Transit van or the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. That type of a design is used in so many different industries. Even recreational use is a win for consumers. So getting one design, and then of course just putting the thought into how can it be multi-use? What different things can we add, or how do we place things so that this can be used by as many industries as possible would be a huge win. And I realize that the Tesla they don't have the batteries to service what they're doing now, and they've only got bigger projects in front of them. The Semi is going to use a literal ton of batteries for every truck. Like it's
Yes.
going to be insane the amount of batteries that's going to be used in that application. So they're going to have to get the 4680 streamlined to be produced, in great volume at high quality, before they can even think about going to another. And of course, the other thing that they even have on the table that is rumored that it is coming, that there is going to be some sort of possible release or showing of it, is of course the $25,000 ModelNext. That car is going to use the 4680s, we believe, as well. All these are vying for the batteries that Tesla doesn't even have at this point. So it's the Sprinter van is way down in the priority list, I understand, but man, that is a definite win that's out in front of them, just waiting for them to pick it.
So the news did come out that the semi-truck, Tesla was able to get exemptions on the European and U.S. Markets to make them heavier than regular trucks. So that's just guaranteeing, according to a tweet that Elon either replied to or liked on, that they would be able to guarantee that they are going to give you the full usability that a regular Class 8 truck gives you with combustion. And that's incredible. I mean,
yeah. Hockey Day just made a comment about that. About an article, but there was.
So it's going to weigh less and have that extra bonus because it's supposed to have these heavy batteries. So you actually get an extra couple tons out of it.
Exactly. Just like the building of Starship, anything saved in the weight of Starship goes towards payload. Yep. So a semi, of course, is limited to certain weights on the road, because the jurisdictions, of course, don't want you to run unlimited weights on the roads. It destroys the roads.
Right.
But
still, they were modest allowances that they allowed.
Yeah.
But if you can take the allowance and already make
add to it, yeah.
It's
going to be a huge win in the transportation industry. And again, I'm not sure why if they could just produce a dozen or so of those semis, get them into the hands of a couple of customers, and let them start running the roads. Like, start collecting the data, start doing the information. I think that would be a plus, because we all believe that eventually Tesla is going to solve this battery constraint problem. And once it's solved, then the orders are really going to flow in for that truck based on the data that could be collected. So
I think they're going to sell out 5 years once they start hitting the road.
Exactly.
Although that brings up another application for the semi. Before the Sprinter van comes out, assuming that you need weight, you could get your upfitter to weld a box to the fifth wheel.
Yeah, exactly. And you've seen those different artist drawings of converting that one of the semi trucks into a huge camper. Like they extend the wheelbase and they put a camper box on the thing, and you've got yourself a monster camper available. So
that would be fun.
That'll be exactly.
I think they'll be able to handle either some paint or a wrap Hockey Day.
What's he saying about the? Yeah,
he said Tesla doesn't offer enough colors.
Yeah, you can have any color you want as long as you apply the wrap after you purchase it.
Yes. So, and FedEx is definitely among others. Well, they have like 100 major companies that were waiting on a pre-order.
Yeah.
Sudbury should purchase one long range. -30 at night is pretty normal in that area. Range drop. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, it is, but it's also running in the city or within the region of Sudbury. So, you've got yourself a supercharger there, and you have the ability to plug the vehicle in after an 8-hour shift.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be fine.
And these ones will have heat pumps because they're new.
That's right. Yeah. So they're going to have that extra bonus too. So, well, that about comes to the end of the show. We're a little bit early. If anyone's got some questions, you can certainly fire them into the stream. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up at the end of the show here. That helps us out. And press that subscribe button. And if you want, of course, to be notified, click that bell. And when the show goes to air, automatically you will be alerted.
So a
What's
studio
this
guy
question?
has a good point. He's asking if Tesla will be able to produce a few Cybertrucks before the end of the year, just to say they did some in 2021.
What's your thought on that, Casey?
No. I mean, can they? Yes, but will they? I don't think that they will now at this point.
I don't think it matters to them. Like I really,
exactly.
I think that's not a moral victory they're looking for.
Right.
They would much rather get the Model Ys up and running smoothly, because that is a cash cow for them. Any vehicles that the Cybertruck is going to put out, of course, the first ones are going to be tests, because they'll be the very first mass production of a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
I think they're going to want to make sure that everything is running smoothly so they can ramp it up quicker. So I don't think they're looking for a moral victory just to get a few out in 2021. They could certainly do that if they wanted to, but I just don't think it's on their radar at this point.
Yeah, because they're anti-selling everything else right now, from the S all the way to the Y, and to have the truck seen out there in production form, I think would then just make more pre-orders that they already have enough of for quite a while. But as Hockey Day says, we might by the end of the year see the beta trucks. I was hoping that we'd see a token delivery event, but then when we found out that the batteries aren't there in the quantity that they need, that's when they started moving to 2022. In fact, if you go to the Cybertruck website right now and you try to order one, it says delivery start sometime in 2022.
Yeah. And we know, of course, that the 4680s are critical for the Cybertruck. They're definitely going to be the battery of choice. Unlike the Model Y that we believe will be rolling out of Giga Texas sometime near the end of the year here, they're going to probably be rolling off the lines to start with the 2680s. It seems that is going to be the battery of choice based on its availability.
Yeah. Studio Guy's friend says that he was transferred from Fremont to Austin. Says for sure nope. I would agree with that friend there. Hockey Day would like a Tesla RV, and Derek is asking if we've ever bottomed out our car on a steep driveway, and I've done it with a springed, so basically non-air ride Model S loaner, my Model S, and my Model X, even with the high suspension settings. Have you ever bottomed out the 3?
I have never bottomed out the 3, knock on wood.
It wasn't hard, but it's like,
you can do
back
it.
Up and do it again.
And it's, I would just say that if you live in an area where you've got those steep inclines or declines, just think coming in on an angle. The
angle and slow.
That's way you can do it, for sure.
You might even have to get some people to get out.
but Casey, as you and I know, owning Volts,
yes,
it was a little bit low to the ground in certain cases. And first, especially the Gen 1 was very low. So yeah, it definitely does not sound good. I would agree, Derek. Definitely.
Derek says it sounds horrible. Absolutely.
Hockey Day, do you think the $25,000 vehicle will be announced next year, so 2022? I think I'm going to bet that we're going to hear an announcement about the ModelNext, as we like to call it, the $25,000 US vehicle. I'm going to say before the end of this year. I'm going to say there's going to be something. There's something going to be revealed about the body, or something is going to happen, showing us what the car is going to look like. I'd say that's going to happen within the next 6 months.
My understanding is they either just finished or just broke ground on the Chinese design center. So, based on what we've seen of the way that Tesla does construction, all of the Muscos do construction, I would suspect that we see product coming out of there as early as the end of this month. But maybe by the end of the year, we'll get some kind of clues as to what's going on with the ModelNext.
So you would agree that we're going to see something about the ModelNext other than bad artist drawings that aren't coming from Tesla?
Well, Tesla gave us one, and I don't know why people don't use that instead, because it's more realistic than putting Tesla's nose on somebody else's car.
Interesting.
Ordered a dual motor December 2019. Ordered a tri-motor before FSD 7K increase. Will the tri-motor deliver first? depends on equipment. So what you'll see is that if your tri-motor is coming in a trim that they're already making batches of, you'll see that first. And then if your long range is one that they're making in serial production, then you'll see that one come first. But they would definitely appreciate the extra profit.
They typically go with the higher priced ones out the door first, unless there's something, that's in the midst of that they, if they can only do one, it's typically the higher priced.
Yeah. The Hockey Day suggests that perhaps Fremont employees are being transferred to Austin for training. I would say that they definitely are doing cross-training, but from what I've seen of the mobile techs and the techs in the shop, they actually bring you to Fremont rather than Fremont to you.
And
but that might still slow them down.
Yeah. The last question we'll take is the Derek question about the U.S. government. Are they going to sign the new EV tax incentive bill this year? I'm not American, so I got no clue. What do you think, Casey?
I'm seeing rumors that the 7500 is back. I haven't looked into the details to see if it was done yet. And then on top of all of that, they did push through the small infrastructure plan. That was the one that had the charging stations and such. And then the House was waiting on the honeypot to come through, the $3.5 trillion. And it looks like they got enough of that to start sending it into the White House. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. And I'm curious as well. Not that I'm in the market for another car anytime soon.
Yeah, but for those that are, you may want to kind of hang around. I'm not sure if it's going to be quick enough for you, though. That's the only question.
Right, because they might put a start date, like, hey, if it wasn't in service by this time, or if it was in service before this time, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And Hockey Day brings up a good point about one of the senators is trying to torpedo this, and thankfully he's unlikely to succeed. So this is really him making a big show and a big stink to say, see, blah blah. But
yeah, there could be a cap. There could be a price on family income too. So there's a number of things that could happen. So this is definitely in motion. There's a number of things that are going to move around before this gets signed for sure.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we want to thank all of you for watching and participating in the show. Thanks so much for joining us today. And Casey, any shout-outs here at the end?
So I just got a software update last week, and the game's finally downloaded a week after that. So I've got to shoot the games, and then that is about ready to go. So we'll see my latest deep dive into a software update, and I've actually planned it out, and I've used cameras that don't make me upset to use them, and so it won't take 2 months to get this video out.
Have you heard anything about the Disney Plus?
Mine doesn't have the Disney Plus one, but I've seen photos of folks with the Disney Plus one.
Okay, so it's starting to roll out there.
Yes. Also, the Model S refresh has, in the latest update for it, they now have camera-based auto park instead of ultrasonic-based. So they're no longer parking blind. All you have to do is pass a stall, and you get the same interface. But instead of shifting to reverse with the stalk, because there's no stalk, you push and hold on the park button for a moment, and then it'll start the auto park. It behaves just like ours do with the cars, but it's doing it with lines. In fact, it gets really close to the lines, but thankfully, since it's an empty parking spot, you don't have to wonder, is it going to hit the car or not?
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, we will see you all next week, and we will find out what's going on in the Tesla life. Good night, everyone. Have yourselves a great week.